Physical touch might start attraction, but it doesn't create the obsession that makes men loyal. What creates obsession is the tension you build before touch ever happens. Your energy, your presence, your mystery. This is how you make men restless, hungry, and desperate to be closer to you. And the reason why it makes them desperate to be closer to you is because anticipation creates more powerful psychological bonds than satisfaction ever could. When you master the art of creating tension without physical touch, you trigger something much deeper than physical desire. You create psychological addiction. Most women think they need to be physically available or sexually provocative to keep men interested, but the women who drive men truly wild understand that mental obsession is far more powerful than physical attraction. They know how to create a magnetic pull that makes men think about them constantly, even when they're apart. This psychological magnetism works because it engages multiple areas of the brain simultaneously: the reward center that craves what it can't have, the bonding mechanisms that attach to mystery and challenge, and the memory centers that replay compelling interactions over and over. When you create this kind of mental obsession, you don't just attract men, you become unforgettable to them. They can't stop thinking about you because their brain is constantly trying to solve the puzzle of who you are and how to get closer to you. That's why the secret to obsession lies in understanding that desire grows in the space between interest and satisfaction, in the tension between connection and distance, in the mystery that exists between what's revealed and what remains hidden. Hi, I'm Gabriel Hart from My Daily Love, and in this video we'll talk about the 7 specific techniques that create irresistible psychological tension without any physical contact, and why these methods create deeper obsession than physical attraction alone. And once you understand how to build this kind of mental magnetism, you'll not only have men thinking about you constantly, but you'll also create the kind of psychological bonds that inspire genuine loyalty and long-term devotion. Number 1. Master the power of eye contact. The most underestimated tool for driving men wild is strategic eye contact. A lingering glance that lasts just long enough to create tension, but not so long that it becomes uncomfortable, because eye contact triggers dopamine release and bonding hormones more powerfully than any words or touch. Most women either avoid eye contact out of shyness or use it too casually without understanding its psychological impact. But when you master the art of intentional eye contact, you can create instant chemistry and lasting impressions that stay with him long after the moment passes. The key is in the timing and intensity. A brief glance followed by looking away creates intrigue. A longer, steady gaze during conversation shows confidence and creates intimacy. A playful look paired with a slight smile can be more seductive than any physical gesture. Eye contact works because it triggers what psychologists call intimacy escalation. The brain interprets sustained eye contact as a sign of deep connection and attraction, even between strangers. This creates an immediate sense of bond and familiarity that makes him feel drawn to you. You've probably experienced the power of meaningful eye contact yourself. Those moments when someone looks at you in a way that makes time seem to stop and creates an instant feeling of connection that you remember for days or weeks afterward. The most effective approach is to vary your eye contact patterns. Sometimes hold his gaze a moment longer than expected. Other times, catch his eye from across the room and look away with a slight smile. This unpredictability keeps him guessing and creates anticipation for the next moment of visual connection. Quality men often say that a woman's eyes were what first caught their attention and made them want to know more about her personality and inner world. Number 2. Use silence as a weapon. Most people are uncomfortable with silence and rush to fill every pause with words. But when you're comfortable with quiet moments, when you can pause before answering questions, when you let conversations breathe naturally, something powerful happens. You create space for tension and anticipation to build. Silence works because it engages his curiosity and imagination. When you pause before responding, his mind starts working to fill that space, wondering what you're thinking, what you'll say next, whether you're considering something deeper or more meaningful. This technique is particularly effective during emotional or intimate conversations. Instead of rushing to respond to everything he says, take a moment to consider your words. Let him see you thinking, processing, choosing your response carefully. The psychological principle at work is called cognitive gap theory. When information is incomplete or delayed, the brain becomes more engaged trying to fill in the missing pieces. Your strategic silences create these gaps that keep his mind focused on you. You can also use silence to create physical tension. When he says something particularly interesting or attractive, instead of immediately responding with words, Just look at him for a moment with a slight smile before speaking. This creates a moment of suspended anticipation that can be incredibly magnetic. During the first 2 to 3 weeks of using strategic silence, you'll notice men becoming more attentive to your words and more curious about your thoughts, because they can't predict or control your responses the way they might with more predictable conversation patterns. Number 3, play with mystery. While most women think they need to be completely open and available to keep men interested, playing with mystery, not oversharing too soon and leaving pieces of your story untold, creates the kind of curiosity that drives genuine obsession. Mystery works because the human brain is wired to seek completion and understanding. When you reveal yourself gradually, leaving some questions unanswered and some stories unfinished, you create what psychologists call information gaps that keep his mind engaged and curious. This doesn't mean being fake or dishonest about who you are. It means being selective about what you share and when you share it, allowing your personality and history to unfold naturally over time rather than giving everything away in the first few conversations. The most effective approach is to answer questions with enough detail to be engaging, but not so much that there's nothing left to discover. Share one interesting story, but reference others that you don't tell completely. Mention interests or experiences that intrigue him, but don't elaborate unless he asks. Mystery also means maintaining some independence and unpredictability in your responses and availability. You don't always say yes immediately, you don't always share every thought or feeling, and you maintain parts of your life that are just yours. Men often report being most obsessed with women they felt they never fully figured out, women who remained interesting and somewhat unpredictable even after months of knowing them. The key is balancing mystery with genuine connection. You want to create curiosity and intrigue without being so closed off that he feels unable to connect with you authentically. Number 4, walk with intention. Your posture, pace, and the way you carry yourself send immediate signals about your confidence, self-worth, and emotional state. Men are wired to notice and respond to these physical cues even before any conversation begins. Walking with intention means moving with purpose and confidence rather than rushing, slouching, or appearing uncertain about where you're going or what you're doing. It's about occupying space comfortably and moving through the world like you belong wherever you are. This works because confident movement suggests emotional stability, self-assurance, and high value, qualities that trigger attraction in men who are looking for partners rather than projects. Your physical presence becomes a preview of your personality and emotional state. The key elements are posture, shoulders back, head up, pace, steady and unhurried, and presence, aware of your environment and comfortable in your own skin. Men often describe being attracted to women before even seeing their faces, based purely on how they moved and carried themselves across a room. This kind of physical magnetism creates instant interest and desire to know more. You can practice this by imagining you're walking towards something or someone important to you. Notice how your posture naturally improves and your movement becomes more purposeful when you have a clear destination and positive intention. Number 5, voice control. Your voice carries emotional information that men process subconsciously before they even register the content of your words. The pace, tone, and rhythm of your speech send immediate signals about your confidence, emotional state, and level of interest. Speaking slower suggests confidence and thoughtfulness. When you're not rushing through your words, it implies that you're comfortable with attention, confident in what you're saying, and worthy of being listened to carefully. A slightly deeper tone creates what voice researchers call vocal attractiveness. It suggests maturity, stability, and sensuality without being artificial or performative. You're not trying to change your natural voice, just accessing the lower, more resonant parts of your vocal range. Strategic pauses work similarly to silence. They create anticipation and give weight to your words. When you pause before saying something important or meaningful, it signals that your words have value and should be paid attention to. You've probably noticed how certain people's voices immediately capture your attention and make you want to keep listening, even if they're not saying anything particularly profound. This vocal magnetism can be developed through awareness and practice. The key is finding your natural voice's most attractive qualities and learning to access them consciously. Most people speak faster and in higher tones when they're nervous, but slowing down and accessing your natural depth creates instant magnetism. Number 6, reward, then pull back. While consistency is important in relationships, strategic push-pull Giving him warmth and attention, then stepping back slightly, creates the kind of addictive tension that keeps men psychologically engaged and craving more of your presence. The key is in the subtlety and timing. You're not playing dramatic games or being cruel. You're simply varying your availability and warmth in natural ways that create anticipation and prevent him from taking your attention for granted. This might look like having an amazing conversation and connection one evening, then being naturally busy and less available the next day. Or giving him your full attention during a date, then taking time to focus on your own life and interests before the next interaction. The psychological principle is that people value what they have to work for and what they can't completely predict or control. When your attention and affection feel earned rather than automatic, they become more valuable and desired. But here's what most women struggle with when trying to create this tension. They don't know how to balance push-pull with building genuine emotional connection. There are specific ways to create healthy tension that builds attraction, and other approaches that just create confusion or insecurity. That's why understanding how to use push-pull energy without damaging trust or emotional safety is crucial, because the wrong approach can make you seem manipulative rather than naturally magnetic. The difference between healthy tension that builds attraction and unhealthy games that create insecurity often comes down to your intention and the specific techniques you use. Comment tension, and I'll reveal the 3 specific ways to create healthy push-pull that builds attraction, and the 3 approaches that accidentally create insecurity or make you seem manipulative rather than naturally magnetic. Number 7. Signature style. The final technique for driving men wild without physical touch is developing signature elements, a scent, accessory, or styling choice that becomes uniquely associated with you, because these anchors create powerful memory triggers and long-term psychological obsession. This creates a form of psychological presence even when you're not physically there. Your signature elements become reminders of you that can trigger attraction, curiosity, and longing when he encounters them in your absence. The most effective signature elements are subtle but distinctive. A particular perfume that's uniquely yours, a piece of jewelry you always wear, a color you often choose, or a styling detail that becomes part of how people recognize and remember you. The key is consistency and authenticity. Your signature elements should genuinely reflect your personality and taste rather than being calculated choices designed purely for effect. When they feel natural and true to who you are, they create authentic associations rather than artificial ones. Men often report being reminded of women they were attracted to by encountering their signature scent months or even years later, proving the lasting psychological impact of well-chosen signature elements. This technique is particularly powerful because it engages multiple senses and creates layered memories. Your signature scent might remind him of your laugh. Your signature jewelry might trigger memories of meaningful conversations. Your signature color might bring back feelings from special moments together. From what I've seen, women who develop distinctive signature elements tend to be remembered and missed more intensely than those who don't create these memory anchors, because they've created multiple psychological triggers that keep them present in men's minds even during absence. Now here's where it gets really important. Once you've mastered these techniques and started creating genuine psychological obsession, you need to understand what happens next in a man's emotional journey and what specific questions he starts asking when this mental attraction turns into genuine love. See, driving men wild is just the beginning. The next phase is recognizing when that psychological obsession has evolved into something deeper, when he's moved from being fascinated by you to actually falling in love with you. Understanding the specific questions men ask when they're transitioning from attraction to love helps you recognize when your psychological techniques have created lasting emotional investment rather than just temporary fascination. So if you want to discover the 3 questions men ask only when they're falling in love and why recognizing these questions changes everything about understanding his true feelings, then our new video will show you exactly what to listen for when psychological attraction becomes genuine emotional attachment. Please click the video that's showing on the screen right now and you'll see the verbal proof that your psychological magnetism has created lasting love